Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be going through my 2024 Goodreads TBR list. If you don't know, I am obsessed with books. It is not something that I talk about much on my channel, so this is something a little bit different. But I know that booktok is becoming quite big on TikTok, and I know a lot of people are starting to get into reading more, so I thought this just could be a fun video for me to film for you guys. If this isn't your type of video, that's no problem at all. You can click off. I have loads more beauty and lifestyle content on my channel, but if you would like to see what books I am looking to read this year, then please keep watching. Okay, so on my Goodreads TBR I have quite a lot of books. However, my goal on Goodreads is 10 books for this year. That is my 2024 reading challenge. However, I feel like I might actually end up reading more just because I am already on I've just finished actually book 3 of my 10, and it is only like the 5th of March. Now, I do know that I am due a baby in May, so this could very much change depending on, you know, how I'm feeling, how I'm getting on managing 2 children, but I do think I will end up hitting my 10 for definite this year. So the main kind of categories that I like to read are romance and thriller, and that is purely just because that is what I enjoy most. I find they are interesting reads but easy reads. I am not someone that likes anything too complicated. Like for me, anything real life that has a lot of facts about it, I just don't do well with. I never did well in history in school, so anything like to do with history or even people's lives, I struggle to retain that information and to remember it throughout the book. So that is why my categories that I mainly read are romance and thriller. But I do have another category that will be coming into my TBR this year, and that is fantasy. So I've categorized them into thrillers, romance, and then fantasy, just so we can have a look at what is on my list. But please let me know down in the comments below what is on your TBR list for this year, and yeah, let me know if any of these are the same as yours, or let me know if there's anything else you think I should be adding to this list. Okay, so for thrillers, the first book on my thrillers list is The Silent Patient. If you have not seen the reviews about The Silent Patient, apparently for anyone who loves a good thriller, it is pretty much top of their list. It's basically about this woman that she has killed her husband, and when she killed him she went mute, she went silent, and since then she's never spoken to someone. And now she's talking to a therapist. Well, she's not physically talking because she hasn't spoken, but she's with a therapist, and the therapist is basically trying to uncover what happened. But everyone says it is such a good book, so that is top of my thrillers list for 2024. And then the next set of books are actually all by Freida McFadden. If you don't know, Freida McFadden is a big thrillers author. She literally only does thrillers, and her main one that a lot of people probably know about is The Housemaid, and The Housemaid, basically the second one, so The Housemaid's Secret. Them 2 books are meant to be incredible as like a little series. They're meant to be so good if you are into thrillers, so I really want to get my hands on them this year because I've not read one bit of Freida McFadden ever. Now, I will also say I tend to not read blurbs on books. I tend to go by what people's reactions are to a book afterwards. I tend to go by what people make of a book and basically people's general idea of a book. I much prefer someone telling me, you know, there was a plot twist, or someone telling me that, you know, they couldn't stop thinking about a book, versus me going into this kind of knowing in general what the book is going to be about, because then I don't know why, but I can very clearly predict things. I can predict stuff in books very easily, and I don't like that. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to even have an inkling of what's going on when I start to read a book, so I won't be able to give you a full lowdown on all of these books as to what they're about, but just know that based on other people's recommendations, these are the ones that apparently are the absolute best. But yeah, back to Freida McFadden. Another couple of books that I want to read from her are Ward D. That is meant to be amazing. Another one is top of my list as well, is called Never Lie. That is meant to be incredible. From what I can tell, it is really dark and deep, so that is something I'm looking forward to reading. And then the last one that I really want to read from her is called The Teacher. That book is also meant to be incredible, so all of Freida McFadden's books are on my list for 2024 as my to be read. Okay, then moving on to romance. For me, romance has to be done right. Personally, I don't like romances that are predictable. I'm not, again, someone that just likes something that you know what's going to happen at the end, that they're going to end back up together, like whatever the situation is. I like something that has a bit of background to it and a bit of like substance to it. So for me, romance sometimes can be a little bit like meh. Do you know that type of way? Like sometimes romance can be a bit like meh, a bit okay, yeah, I could have seen that coming, why would I read this, that type of way. So these books are, one of them actually, I'm going back on what I've said because I just want to read this just to make sure I really don't like the books, but we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so the first romance books that I have on this are actually the Twisted Love series. So I read the first Twisted Love. It's the book I've actually just recently finished reading. I know a lot of people said they didn't like it because of the whole like second life murder aspect to it. Now maybe it's because I love thrillers, and maybe, like I said, it's because I love something with a bit of substance to it, but I actually really enjoyed that book. I know a lot of people said, oh, they didn't like that book, but the second book got better, but I actually didn't mind the first book. So I am actually very excited to read the rest of the series. So the second book is called Twisted Games, the third book is called Twisted Hate, and the fourth book is called Twisted Lies. So I am hoping to read all of them this year. They're quite easy books, they're very short books, so I find that I get through them quite quickly. Like I got through the first one in like 2 or 3 days, and that was with being busy with the baby. Like it was pretty easy to get through. So yeah, I'm really excited to get my hands on them. If you have been put off reading that book because people say it's not that good, or maybe it's because people just want like that pure romance, maybe read it, because it actually is good if you like something with a bit more substance than just the typical like romance love novel. But yeah, I would recommend giving it a go. And then the next couple of books are by a author called Emily Henry. Now the reason I want to read a lot of her books are purely because they give summer vibes. If you look at the covers of them, they're very pinks and blues and yellows. This sounds so stupid now that I'm saying it, but I like to read my books depending on the season. So I personally wouldn't read one of Emily Henry's books in the depths of winter. For me, just personally, I like to read a book based on when it kind of is set around. So for this, all of her books I would like to read purely because they give me summer vibes. So I feel like her books are going to be my summer romance books. So the first one is Happy Place. Then I also want to read You and Me on Vacation. Again, you probably can see the summer theme here. The next one that I want to read is Beach Read. Again, beach, summer. And then the last one is Book Lovers. I've heard they're very good romance novels, and I've also heard that they are your typical romance, but they still have a little bit of substance behind the characters. So that is what I'm looking forward to reading this summer in terms of romance. And then the last one that I said I'm going to read purely because I need to make sure that I really don't like these books is Wildfire by Hannah Grace. If you've not read the first one, which is Icebreaker, my strongest opinion is do not read that book. I have never ever wanted to DNF a book in my life. I'm such a person where even if I don't like a book, I will finish it purely because I don't like the thought of like leaving the story. But this one I was seriously considering DNFing. It was not a good book in my opinion. I did not enjoy it. I thought it was very soft P, like it was very, yeah, like there was a lot of context sexually, if you get me. Like it was very soft P, and for the first half of the book I literally turned Joseph and I was like, I actually feel a bit sick reading this. And not because I'm like anything against that, like no, I'm not like at all, but some of the stuff was too detailed and it just went on for a bit too long. I felt like there was no plot, there was no real story going on until like the very end, and even then it was a very like loose story. But there is a second book to it that kind of deals with different characters within that book, and it's based on their love story and their romance story. So that is why I want to read Wildfire, purely because I want to see what way that one is taken. Hopefully it might not be as smutty. I'm hoping it's a little bit better. Personally didn't like it. I know a lot of people didn't like Icebreaker either, but yeah, I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna let it be the last book that I read of that series, and if I like it, I like it, and if I don't like it, I know that author potentially might just not be for me. Okay, and then moving on to fantasy. This is where I'm completely going in blind this year. So the first series that I want to read fantasy wise is the ACOTAR series. I know everyone has heard of them. They've blown up on TikTok. Sophia Tuxford from Sophie and Shinzia, if you don't know, she recommended this book, and now suddenly everybody is loving it. I know it's been such a good book for years and years and years, but I feel like since she has promoted it, nearly every girl has jumped on this series. Apparently it is one of the nicest books to get into fantasy with, purely because there's not tons of world building, and that's what always has scared me about getting into fantasy, because a lot of the time, say like with the Harry Potter series or even like Percy Jackson series, a lot of the times those type of series there's a lot of world building, and one book, the first book, could be based on just building that fantasy world, which for me I struggle with. I like books with substance, but there's substance and then there's pure, like I said, going back to like the history. I just can't retain this information. So you could mention this part of the world to me a million times and then move on to a completely different one, and by the time we go back to the first one I don't understand it. So for this, apparently it is just the first couple of chapters are world building and the characters are character building, and then it kind of just evens out and it gets into the story. So that is what I'm really excited to read. I've heard that they just keep getting better and better and better, like you're always left on a bit of a cliffhanger to read the next one, and apparently, yeah, just apparently everyone says it's a very, very good series to start on if you're wanting to get into fantasy, and it's a very easy read because it's more like a romantasy, so there's a bit more romance in it, but it brings you into the fantasy world. And then another fantasy series that I really want to get into is the Powerless series. A girl that I watch on TikTok and on YouTube, Liza Palmer, she has talked about Powerless before. Apparently Powerless, again, it's one of those ease into fantasy world books, and there is a series of it. It's more of a romantasy and more on the romance side, which again would bring me into fantasy a little bit more easily. Apparently again, not much world building and stuff like that, so that is another series that I really want to get into, just to kind of bring me into that world, and then we can dive in deep. And then just a really random book that I want to read this year is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I'm sure everybody has read this book. There is no way people have not read this book. It is so popular. It's obviously a TV series, or is it a movie? It might be a TV series. I have not read it and I've not seen the TV series / movie, whichever one it is, but it is based in Ireland and it basically follows, I think it's a group of students, particularly like one maybe, and it just kind of shows how they navigate relationships and everything like that. So yeah, I really want to read that. I've heard it is a very good, just a good standard book to have read. So yeah, it is on my TBR for this year. So guys, that is everything that is on my Goodreads TBR for 2024. There are a lot more books that are on my Goodreads TBR, but these are the main ones that I want to get my hands on this year and get reading this year. Who knows, I might end up reading all of them, I might only end up reading some of them, but we shall see. But guys, thank you if you've gotten this far into this video. Thank you for watching today's video. I know it is very different than my usual content, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if anyone wants me to do more book videos, please let me know what kind of book videos you would like to see, and I could definitely try and do them. But also do not worry, if you have been on my channel for beauty and lifestyle content and fashion content, more of that is 100% coming soon, so stay tuned. But yeah guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.